Today I'm showing you how to create 2 quick and easy, clean and simple cards with beautiful foil designs, all while making sure nothing goes to waste. I'll be using the fused foiling machine along with fancy foils to add that stunning shine to your projects. Plus, I'll share how to use the negative foil piece to get a second card so you can stretch your supplies and reduce waste. All of the supplies I'm using today will be linked down below in the video description, so let's get started. Some of the supplies that I'm going to be using is the Old Christmas Tree stamp set. I really want that for the sentiment. And then I'll be using the Give a Gift die set, all from Gina K Designs. For cardstock, I have white heavyweight, red hot cardstock. I have brushed gold, and I'll also be bringing in fresh asparagus. I also have the seasonal patterns poly glaze and the hammered gold fancy foil. The first thing I'm going to do is bring out my fused foiling system. I turn on the switch in the back, and then I'm going to hit the button till it hits number 3. That is the setting I prefer when I'm doing my foiling. So we're going to let our machine warm up. The light will turn green when it's ready, but in the meantime, I'm going to prepare my polyglaze and my foil. The Seasonal Patterns polyglaze has the pattern on it and also sentiments. I only want the pattern for right now, so I'm going to just trim that part out. And then I'm using this brand new hammered gold fancy foil. I'm going to trim the fancy foil to fit my cardstock. Now, whenever you're doing foiling, your foil can be a little bit overhanging the edge of your panel. You just don't ever want toner or poly glaze exposed. You always want that covered with foil. So I'm prepping this by brushing over the back of the foil and also the front of my panel with a Swiffer cloth. And then I'm going to place my foil over the top of my design. So it's design side facing up and also the pretty side of the foil facing up. And I'm placing that inside of my carrier sheet. My light is green on my fused foiling system, which means it's ready. So I'm going to just gently guide this in to the opening. And then once the rollers kind of grip that, I'm going to let the machine do the work and pull that through. And then after it comes through the back, I can reveal this beautiful design. So this is what I'm going to make my present out of. To get the most out of my foil, I'm going to take that negative piece because there's still a lot of foil on there. And I'm also taking a sheet of white polyglaze. Now the polyglaze sheets, the entire front panel, or one side I should say, is completely coated in polyglaze and accepts foil. You're going to want the shiny side. There's a matte side and a shiny side. You want the shiny side. Again, I trimmed it down to fit my piece of foil. I'm placing the foil over the top of that shiny side. And you always want to make sure that you have that white sheet completely covered in foil. Otherwise, if there's any white or any polyglaze exposed, it is going to transfer onto your carrier sheet. So again, I fed this through my fused foiling system. And then after it has cooled off for just a few seconds, I'm going to peel that back and notice we have absolutely no wasted foil. Everything transferred. Now, I really just want the pattern, but you could trim off those excess pieces to use as strips for the front of your cards if you wanted to add a decorative element. Here are the 2 panels. You can see the comparison, and these are the panels we're going to use to create 2 cards. I am using this rectangle die from the Give a Gift die set. This is going to be my present. So I lined it up over the pattern on the original piece that I foiled, and then I'm also going to do the same thing on that negative piece. So just notice that one has a little bit more foil showing than the other. The reason I'm using this rectangle die instead of just trimming it out with a paper trimmer is this size is going to fit perfectly for these 2 additional pieces, which is going to be adding the ribbon to our package or our present. So I am die cutting that bow and the ribbon that's going to go on the packaging from some brushed gold cardstock. And because I'm making 2 cards, I need to die cut that out twice. So I'm going to have 2 ribbons and 2 bows. I also use those dies to die cut them out of just plain white cardstock. So each bow is going to have 2 more layers behind it of white cardstock, and each ribbon is going to have 2 more layers of white cardstock. That's just going to help build dimension for the front of my package. I'm using liquid glue to adhere these, and this is Connect glue that I have in the Misty Precision Glue Press. So now I'm attaching the ribbons to the front of my package to have them decorated. Of course, you could use maybe some red cardstock or even like a brushed red metallic cardstock would be really pretty for that if you wanted to add a pop of color. I'm going to keep the color in the focus of my background. So here I have a piece of red hot cardstock from Gina K Designs cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and also a piece of fresh asparagus, and I'm going to add some white splatters to that. This is bleed proof white ink that I just mixed with a little bit of water. While those backgrounds are drying, I'm going to work on my sentiment. Now, I am using the Oh Christmas Tree stamp set. You could use the sentiments that are included on that polyglaze sheet. One of the reasons, or I should say the main reason I picked this is because there are coordinating dies, and I will most likely use a sentiment if it has a coordinating die. That's my personal preference. I just love having that option to be able to die cut them out. So I picked out two sentiments here. I am stamping them down in black ink. And then after that, I can line up those coordinating dies to die cut them out. I will stack the sentiments as well, like I did with the present ribbon and bow, by die cutting additional pieces of cardstock. Now, for the back of each of the presents, I am going to line that with some foam tape to be able to pop them up on the front of my card projects. Then to assemble these, I'm just using the sentiments there as kind of a placeholder, and I'm going to remove the backing of the foam tape and place that down on the front of the card. You do want to make sure you're leaving yourself a little bit of room at the top because the bow is a pretty good sized bow. It's a nice kind of fluffy bow is what I'm calling it. So you want to make sure you're leaving some room at the very top there. So I'm going to center my present kind of in the middle of the card as much as I can, as far as the margins on the right and left hand side. And then I'm going to use that card as a guide for my second card. I trimmed out a few small pieces of that foam tape to add at the top of my bow on the back, just to be able to pop that up so it is kind of flush with the present. I did that again for both of the bows for the front of the project. Then the sentiments, I'm just going to add the liquid glue behind that and tuck that right underneath at the present. I hope today's foiling ideas inspired you to create your own quick and easy, clean and simple cards. Now, if you don't have the polyglaze, there is a stamp set that is just like the polyglaze sheet, so you could always do heat embossing instead of the foiling. Thanks so much for stopping by today, friends. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any future card making inspiration. You can find all of the supplies I used today linked in the video description below. And until next time, happy crafting. Here is another video that I think you might enjoy.